Hi, Roy here. I'm the guy who bought a shelf full of shabby chic decoration books, old hardbacks, past their readable lives, and decided to read them anyway, give them one last chance to be read before they go to whatever their final fate might be. And the one I pulled down off the shelf this week is Lorna Doone by R.D. Blackmore. Lorna Doone, a book which we had this around the house when I was a kid. I think my mum liked it, and my first memory of it, and I'm not making this up, when I heard people talking about it, I thought it was called Lorna of Doom. So in my childish head, I envisaged a story about an expanse of neatly cut grass where if people ventured onto it, terrible things would happen to them. A lawn of doom. And that's not what happens in the story. Lorna is somebody's name, basically. In fact, I've never read it before. I think I saw a mini-series in the 90s with Sean Bean, something like that. So I sort of knew it was historical adventure romance. I had visions of people in kilts and swords and on the moors. So I was surprised to see the cover of this Lorna Doone being a girl playing hockey and a happy schoolgirl face on the spine. Thought perhaps I'd got it wrong. It was in fact a school story. Jenny suggested perhaps they've updated it and like set it in a girls' school. So the Lorna Doone plot happens, but it's sort of played out around tuck shops, dormitories and playing fields and those kind of things. Sadly, that is not the case. When I opened it up and looked inside, saw the dreaded word abridged, and it all began to make sense. So it is Lorna Doone, subtitle A Romance of Exmoor, but it's abridged, and got to assume from the school child on the packaging and the fact that it advertises children's books in the back that it's abridged for young people to read. Nevertheless, this is the copy I had, this is the copy I read, and I was really enjoying it. It's a pretty stirring stuff. There's kind of a big sort of vengeance story building up, but then it stops. So some things sort of resolve, but where's it going? I thought there was going to be a big battle between the narrator of the story, John Ridd, and Carver Doone, who is the big baddie. So looking at the non-abridged version on a Project Gutenberg version I found online, the abridging they've done, you know, I kind of thought, well, abridging, they're going to take out a few bits, you know, maybe shorten some of the historical things, make it a bit less violent, etc. But what they've actually done is end the story halfway through. So literally half the book has just been chopped off completely. And the remaining half, the first half of the story, has been selectively cut down. So it's abridged. If I was this girl, I would feel pretty upset that I was being fobbed off with you know, almost the introduction to the story. But there it is. Lorna Doone kind of made me think, yeah, I would happily watch another TV adaptation. I think there's been a movie version of that since. It's one of those books where, to me, there's physical things about this particular copy that are almost as interesting or more interesting than the book itself. So there's an inscription. Well, you can't read that, but it says, Exford Holidays, June to July 1929. To Jess with love from Ada. And so Exford Holidays, which thanks to the pull-out map pull-out map in the book. I know where Exford is, and it's right in the middle of the story. So basically, Jess, and possibly Jess and Ada, were on holiday in 1929 in Exmoor, where the story happens. And there's a couple more. There's photographs of landscape feature. I mean, that's probably one of the nicest things about the book, is the way it talks about the landscape. You know, so basically you've got it's set in Exmoor. The Doone family are these kind of, they're sort of aristocratic, but they're basically brigands who rule the area. Things around, early scenes around waterfalls that haven't been cut out are part of the story. So yeah, there it was being read. I looked up weather tables for 1929. It was a beautiful summer. There's Jess with her reduced version. A bit fanciful, but the water damage, the staining to the spine from drops of water, I sort of imagine maybe it's splashes of water from one of the water features that we see in the book, possibly the Lynn near Brendan. Or perhaps, disgusted by the over-abridging, she hurled it into the river until it ended up in the world of second-hand bookselling after that. Still, I now have read elements of Lorna Doone. I wonder what I'm going to do with it now. It's in the course of reading it, the spine has become detached, and I already really wouldn't feel comfortable giving this away to a charity shop. Plus, it's basically worthless as an abridged copy. So I think what I'll do, I would quite like to learn how to do some basic book restoration, and attaching spines is one of the things that be useful to learn how to do. So I'll use this as my practice copy for learning how to do that at some point. Perhaps then, if we ever go to Cornwall, I'll return it to its locale where it was originally read in 1929. So that's another, let's see, about 1.5 inches of the yard of old books that I'm reading has been achieved, with an idea of what to do with it next. As for what to do with the others, regular viewers will know I've read a Reader's Digest condensed book, the most despised kind of book ever. All I can think of to do with these is to acquire enough of them, either very cheaply or preferably free, to make a set of red spine condensed books I could sell for the decorative purposes. You know, somebody will want red books to make their room pop. This will be one of them, maybe. The Boatswain's Handbook, I'm hoping this has some value to somebody who collects nautical memorabilia. It's the oldest edition I can see being sold online, so I've put it on eBay. You know, maybe it just needs Captain Haddock to get his wallet out and this will be moved on, or I'll keep it for answering any nautical terminology questions that might come up, as they did when I was reading Mr. Midshipman Hornblower reprint edition. Another tricky one. What do I do with this? It's you know, it's a valueless reprint. It smells musty, which is kind of undesirable. So I was thinking again, you know, these have already been rejected by charity shops, so can't really just give them to them. I've read it. I'm perfectly happy to collect C.S. Forester books, but probably nicer editions. Then I realised really the answer of how to give a fitting end to this book and others like it is in the book itself. So when the sailors die in the Napoleonic Wars, they are buried at sea by being sewn into a piece of sail. So thanks to this canvas tote bag being repurposed here, I could basically replicate that. They would use a cannonball to weigh them down. Now, ours is not the kind of house that has miniature cannonballs lying around in it, but I do have some stone pebbles left over from an ill-advised attempt to replicate parts of Brighton Beach in our garden. So weighed down with a pebble, sewn into something vaguely like a sail, using the canvas stitching which I can learn from the bosun's handbook. Then I can chuck it in the sea. So that's what's going to happen to that one. So it's progressing. I've probably read about 5 inches worth now, finding positive and sensible things to do with the books once I've finished them. Next, I'm not sure. There's a yoga book, a recipe book, plenty more fiction, some poetry. So we'll see, but back soon. Hit the subscribe button if you want these things to come at you with little effort on your part. That's it. I'm finished. Goodbye.